Anyway, so welcome to episode 2 of Banging the Backstage Door, the podcast for tech people who are not quite where they want to be yet. Woo! Super exciting. So people that have graduated college or have just been working, but not having been crazy what they actually want to do with their lives. Basically, the problem with our podcast is whenever we tell someone, hey, you want to be on this podcast, or people that aren't successful yet, it's it's a little bit insulting.
I don't know if you read what I put on the Tumblr, but I didn't say they're unsuccessful.
No, it's on their way.
Yeah. It's like, hey, you haven't made it yet, right? Well, I thought I had. It's hard to ask people. But luckily, our friend Nick, I always mispronounce your last name.
Try it.
I say Acciani. It's not right.
Acciani.
Okay, Nick Acciani, Mr. Italian here. He's gracing with his presence this week. How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing well.
Woo! So Nick is, I guess he'll talk about it, but what I know Nick as is we both worked. Was it Avenue Q was the first thing we worked at? Yeah. So I met Nick when I was ALDing Avenue Q at Doma Theater, and Nick was brought on as a stage manager. And at first I thought Nick was this tight-ass, douchey guy. And then, the moment I actually talked to him, it turned out Nick was awesome. And so Nick is here now with us, having just closed the production. We both worked on Avenue 9.
Avenue 9.
Avenue 9. And so he's now recently unemployed, as am I. And so he's cool enough to come on our podcast because he has literally nothing else to do with his time.
For today, I actually start employment again tomorrow.
Ooh, what are you doing tomorrow?
I'm stage managing the guardsmen over at A Noise Within.
Cool. I don't know what that is or what that is.
A Noise Within is a theater in Pasadena. They used to be 99 seats, but they 2 years ago they moved to Pasadena to a bigger theater, so now they're 150 seats ish.
Ooh.
I read it a year ago what they actually were, so I'm just guessing.
You're a terrible stage manager.
I am.
What's the show?
It's The Guardsmen.
The Guardsmen. Okay.
I haven't actually read it yet. That's what I'm doing after this. I'm reading the script so that my equity, because it's an equity theater.
Ooh.
So I'm going to get my equity contract on this.
Are you?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Do you want to explain what that is? Someone who's
equity is...
I'm going to talk about our people listening to us, whatever.
Going with the assumption that people are going to listen to it, so please.
So equity is commonly misconstrued as just the actors union. It's actors equity, but it's actors and stage managers. Because stage managers aren't a part of Yahtzee or the tech unions.
The cool unions, yes.
But it's mainly because stage managers have to be there during rehearsals, so they have all the different rules. But getting your union card is kind of a big deal.
It's
I think
it's you have to work 52 days or as a thing.
There's the actors and stage managers generally have the same rules. You have to either work an actual equity contract, which is what I'm doing. Work at they call it EMC, so it's Equity Membership Candidacy. You get points based on a theater that has signed up for the program for working an ensemble role or
being an ASM or something like that.
And then you get points, and based on however many shows you do, you can accumulate the number of points where it's 52 weeks or so. I don't know what the exact number of points is.
This is the worst game show ever.
Yes. I actually don't care anymore because I'm getting it a different way. I don't have to think about it.
Getting the easy way. I had a friend that got I don't know if he got almost through getting the points of the week to whatever, and then the day the week before he would have gotten it, he got an equity contract. He's well, fuck me.
Yeah. But then the third one is they have an agreement with the other acting unions. So with SAG-AFTRA, with AGVA, which is a variety artist. So everyone at Universal Studios at Disneyland, all those performers are under AGVA.
Oh, okay. I thought they had... Okay, go on.
I didn't know that.
But only Disneyland, only the parks out here. The parks in Florida, I think, are under equity.
Oh,
their
weird.
Shows.
Weird.
Do we just have more performers out here?
I don't know.
It's probably because LA is the land of unions, so they just probably did their own thing.
And then I think AGMA is the fourth one. That's the opera singers.
Oh yeah, that's what. Yeah, never mind.
I don't know. I've got a tally. It's my EGOT of the unions. I've got AGVA because I worked at Universal. I've got SAG-AFTRA, and now I'm getting equity.
So do you have a shit ton of dues you have to pay?
Yes.
Yeah, do you pay the dues for the stage manager one once a year, or do they take it out of your check?
I'm not actually sure yet. Well, I am and I'm not. Because all the unions have the stupid initiation fee.
Okay. Yeah.
And I know they're going to be taking that out of my paycheck for the show. The dues, I think, they just send a bill every year or once a year. Like SAG is twice a year.
Okay. That's not helpful.
No.
We're unemployed most of the time.
Well,
Techs and actors to
the nice
then send a
thing
bill.
about SAG, and I think Equity is set up in a similar way, is the dues have a minimum, and then your dues go up based on how much you make per year.
Okay.
So, like, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie are paying a whole lot more in dues than I am. Because it's a percentage of what you make off of your movies.
My mom got into SAG. She got her SAG card because she was like one of the last people to join AFTRA before they merged together. Because you can buy your way into AFTRA, but you can't buy your way into SAG. And so she bought.
Yes, you mine can. At USC did
it's
that.
Just really expensive.
Yeah, so she bit the bullet and bought her AFTRA card like the day before you couldn't anymore. So she got her SAG card, and she does like extra stuff out or extra work out in DC. Yeah. So she was like, I should do that. I was like, good for you.
It was expensive though.
Yes.
I don't want to think how much that is.
The people at school said it was the cost of a MacBook Pro.
Ah, I see.
Is what they equated it to.
Yes, yeah.
That's what they equated it to. They decided between getting a new computer and buying their way into SAG-AFTRA, and about half of them decided to buy their way into SAG-AFTRA.
So are you excited to be a union? Because when you're a union stage manager, you can't work non-union shows, right?
I can work 99-seat theater, the equity waiver, but I can't work.
So that applies to you and to the
actors. Yeah.
So the 99-seat waiver says that even though you're in the union, you can do
smaller shows.
You can do smaller 99-seat or less shows, because otherwise, without the 99-seat waiver, if you were in the unions, you aren't allowed to do non-union shows.
Right,
and LA is full of actors who need to do things as well, stage managers.
Yeah. And 1,000 99-seat theaters.
It's basically what I've actually run into from doing all the 99-seat shows. Equity actors who've never done them before, and they think they still get all of the rights that they normally get because they think it's a union show, but it's technically a non-union show that the theater company has a waiver for.
Yeah.
So they're not signing contracts, they're signing waivers. And they sit there and they explain it to them, and they're just like, this blank face goes over their face.
I should read things when I sign things.
And then I give them the 12-page 99-seat theater rules, which the normal rules are like 30 pages to like 50. It's like, yep, there's a difference.
That's silly. Wait, so you're a transfer from Philadelphia, right?
Yes.
I got that right. So how did you get out here? I remember
I think car.
Thank you. I like.
Wait. Did you drive out? Were you by
Yes.
yourself? Did you take the south route or the central route?
I took the south route. We ended up. I drove out with a friend, and then she actually flew back because she was still in school. But we drove out to Cincinnati because I have family in Cincinnati, so stayed there, and then drove the south route and hit Route 66.
So all the way north and then straight south and then all the way out.
Well, Cincinnati's actually technically south from Philly.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Wait, so how long ago was that?
How long? That'll be 4 years in September.
Oh man.
So why did you choose to come out here?
Why
not go to New York? You're much closer to New York.
New York is much more expensive.
Okay, that is true.
LA
isn't cheap.
Now there's equity.
It's
you
not,
can go up there and work a lot.
But it's about New York is at least twice as expensive, if not 3 times as LA. We live there, and being unemployed and being able to work the odd jobs out here is a little bit easier. Part of it was I grew up in 2 hours of New York City. I went to school within half an hour of New York City. I was in there all the time.
I'm freaking tired of New York City.
It wasn't even so much that. I just needed to change. And after college, I was kind of done with theater for a little while, so I came out
Where'd
here
you go to school?
for film. Ramapo College. It's in northern New Jersey. A town called Mawa.
It sounds like Hawaii, but
it's actually Native American.
Oh, well, that works.
That makes sense.
But yeah, so about a year after I graduated, I was kind of done with theater. Just a little burnout, so I was trying to concentrate more on film stuff. and moved out to LA instead.
Because you do film acting too, right? Like,
Yes.
or you, at least you attempt to.
I attempt to. For the past 4 years, I've been attempting to act.
With something, have you like, what's the biggest thing you've done acting wise?
The biggest, I haven't done. I really haven't done anything since college.
Oh.
What did you study in college?
I studied theater and film. It was a liberal arts school, so we had just general majors. But they all had a concentration. So my concentration was actually acting in theater, and then it's technically communications with a concentration in digital filmmaking. But I say film.
There you go.
Much simpler.
Yes.
Especially in LA. Everyone understands that.
Yeah, and it's a little less confusing.
Yeah.
Though when I'm applying for real jobs, I say communications because it just is a broader reach. People are like, oh, I like that.
I think someone that can communicate things. You're right.
Yes.
You're right. So what brought you back into the realm of theater from film? Was it just purely necessity, or was it like I kind of miss doing this?
It was accidental. I was staying with a friend for the first month I was out here, and she was stage managing a production of Big River, and she needed an ASM, and she looked at me. She's like, "Well, you're not doing anything." You know technical theater, because I did work throughout high school and college. I worked in our scene shops and worked a lot of tech on a lot of shows. So she's like, you can do tech stuff. You need a job. Come be my SM. So it was like, it was an NSC theater, so it paid like nothing. I was $11 a show. I was on the same rate as the actor, so it was but it was something, and it was actually a really good production. Richard Israel directed that.
Hey. Well, you've been connected to him for the entire time.
Yeah.
Richard Israel was the guy that directed Avenue Q that we worked on. Really awesome dude.
Yeah. Your nose is a little brown right there.
Yeah. He hasn't talked to me since Avenue Q, so please hire me.
I'm actually working on another show with him right now too.
Oh yeah.
But
isn't Danielle in that too, or is it just you?
She had to actually drop out for personal reasons, but Lindsay's now stage managing.
Oh, weird. That's cool. I didn't know she stage managed. Oh yeah,
Yes.
okay, yes. Of course she did. I keep getting Lindsay, complete sidebar to people that no one knows. I keep getting Libby and Lindsay in my head, just mixed, even though they're completely different people, just because they're
SCLI.
names. Exactly. We should get her on, because she has a fun story of how she got doing stuff with the porn stuff.
Libby, yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, which one,
Fair
Lindsay?
enough,
And then he said
porn?
porn stuff, and I'm like, that's not Lindsay.
All right, that'd be really cool. No, I thought also Lindsay came out here to do like a porn convention.
Lindsay?
Lindsay, didn't she?
Isn't the porn convention in Vegas?
I think so.
No, like someone I know got started came out here because they were doing porn. They did like a porn, like they worked at a porn convention. This is totally getting off topic.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That'd
so
be fascinating to hear that.
it'd be really
Yeah.
that would be.
Do you have
I need
that
to find.
interesting of a story?
I do not have that interesting of a story.
Right, so for film stuff, did you do any like backstage film stuff, or backstage film, any text film,
Film?
stuff, or was it just like purely acting all the time?
Wait, go back. So you were ASMing that show.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Just totally
And
off track.
then what happened after that, and did you do any film work aside from acting?
Yeah, I was my film. Technically, the film degree was in like directing and writing and that type of stuff, and that's more towards where I wanted to push my career. Acting was kind of like the first step, and then it was going to go into directing and writing.
Yeah.
But so when I came out here, I was doing. I did Big River, and then that friend, her name is Farrell Sarr, she was stage managing Dirty Rotten Scoundrels for Richard a few months later, and she needed a sound op, so she brought me onto that, and that was literally just like pushing the sound button and like QLab 1.
Wow, the old days.
The old yeah. So that was, then that kind of simmered down. I got a day job out here, and then the following fall, the company that did Big River asked me to stage manage one of their shows. I did that.
Before you had ASM'd out here, had you done any stage management?
Stage management, no.
Okay.
I've done just about every other job in theater. In college, I was kind of thrown all over the place. I was mostly a scenic artist and carpenter. But there were shows where I was a master electrician, programming boards. We worked every outside show that came in, so outside performers. So that was just like wherever someone was needed.
Nick, do this.
Pretty much. There was actually, I was actually in a production of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. I was in the show in college, and they had enough crew people, but there were like just a couple scene changes and stuff where they just needed an extra hand, and they weren't gonna get someone else to just sit on their butt and be in the way. So I just hear during tech, they're like having a discussion. I'm in the green room and I just hear over the intercom, "Nick, get to the stage."
God damn it!
And I'm like, I'm an actor this time.
I feel like that's like I feel like most people that we've run into are just jack of all trades. I think everyone in tech theater is a jack of all trades to some degree.
Have to.
It's
like someone has to do it, and you're the most qualified of the least qualified people.
And now it's funny because you mentioned like every tech person I know that acts, as soon as someone learns they're a tech person, they get like thrown into tech also. Like our friend Devin, like
Devin
and Tim.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, because like, well, I'm talking like specifically Devin. Like during that one show, she's talking. We'll get Devin on sometime. She was the A2 and an actress, so she like changed mics and went off, and then like you were doing, changed and also acting.
And I mean, it's the nice thing is graduating college. I thought you kind of had to pick do one thing, be an expert in one thing, and just go for that. But that's not really the case. That's like some secret lie they tell you. I think it's the case more when you get to like full-on union shows like Broadway and tours and that type of thing. But for smaller shows like 99-seat theater and like the mid-sized theaters, it's a little more of a gray area.
Yeah.
Of going back and forth. And like I helped paint Dreamgirls.
Yeah.
After stage managing Q, and then I helped build a couple of days on Dreamgirls too.
All right, you were there for that.
Nice. Yeah, pulling down the
giant platform. Another awful set piece.
But yeah, that.
So now that you've fallen into stage managing, is this something you really like doing? Is it like? I mean, clearly you want to be an actor, but are you upset with how your life has turned to becoming mainly a stage manager?
Not really, because I'm making a living
doing theater.
Doing theater. Pending on the show, I really enjoy it, and as well the director and the cast. If it's a fun show like Avenue Q, with a great cast and a great crew, that was always fun to do. Even though I was sitting there watching the show pretty much. A lot of shows I'll sit there and just get bored because I don't have a lot of cues and I'm just waiting. After like the third time watching the show, I'm like, all right, just speed this up.
And that's when the Snapchats start.
And that's when or the group texts.
Which is the best part of theater in every aspect.
Yes.
I hope you text like the odd things that directors say. That's like my favorite pastime with tech if I'm not doing anything.
So because wow, there's a sentence in there somewhere. Because we were talking.
There are words too.
Yes, I think there might have been at least one or two. Because like we were talking about, like we want to get someone on that is both actor and tech person because it's an interesting like line to straddle. Yeah. So how do you think acting has informed your tech side and vice versa?
As a stage manager, because you're the bridge between the cast and crew and the cast and the director. You're that kind of informational bridge between everybody. I think it actually gives me an advantage over someone who's not, because I understand when like an actor needs like an extra 2 minutes to kind of focus and that type of thing.
Yeah.
Why
are they fucking on stage?
Yeah.
Because they get the character.
Like I have an understanding of the actors and their process because I've directed. I have an understanding of that process because I've done the tech. I understand that process, and it's a little bit. And that's not to say stage managers that haven't done any acting don't understand that as well.
Yeah.
But it's having not done stage managing before I was just thrown into it. Having that dual background of tech and acting was helpful.
Yeah. So like in college, like one of our big things was that anyone that wanted to be a director, stage manager, were strongly encouraged to do acting and tech stuff, just so they can have that flavor as well, and know what they need to expect from people and how reasonable things are.
Yeah.
So it's cool that you have that already inside of you.
Yes.
So have you found, because we were talking in film, that we felt very held, whatever, in a box, just because when we're on film, they assume you only do one thing. Have you felt that in film and or in theater, or at least in theater, have you found that everyone is fine with you being an actor and also doing tech?
I actually found that you do get pigeonholed kind of wherever you are. For both. Just because most of the time you're on a production, be it film or theater, and it's such a big production, you're doing your job, and I'm the kind of person, I'm like, whatever job I'm hired to do, I'm going to do that to the best of my ability, because that generally means I'm going to get hired back. But I've had to tell people I've done other things.
Are people surprised that you're also like an actor?
Yeah. Well, yes and no. I mean, it's theater. Everyone's an actor.
Yeah.
So
right,
it's
fair enough.
And it's LA, so it's like, come on. They're like, what do you do? I'm like, do you do anything else? I'm an actor. Okay. Do you do anything else, really?
No, what do you actually do? Like, come on, really.
But when I started stage managing, I hadn't done anything else out here. Like in college and in that New Jersey, Philly area, people knew me more as an actor with other stuff on my resume that they could call me to do, because I was getting stage managing jobs mostly through offers from places that I worked before. They only knew me as the stage manager for their past show.
Yeah.
So when I mentioned, I'm like, I act, I paint, I do props, I do a lot of other stuff. They're like, oh, okay. So, 2 years ago, I had just finished stage managing a production, again, for Richard. And he was doing his next show, and they couldn't find a prop person. And my friend Farrell was stage managing that show, the one that originally got me into it 4 years ago. And I mentioned to her that I did props. She's like, "Oh yeah," because people kind of forget that when you're not doing it constantly.
Yeah.
So they brought me on to that show for props. So that was kind of
like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah, pretty much. She's like, "What? You do props?" And then I did a decent job on that. So they've brought me back every year for props.
And now you're just the props guy for them.
Pretty much.
But I also stage manage.
Yeah,
no, you're a prop person.
Well, they originally offered me the stage managing job for their current show that I'm doing the props for. They were going to have me do both, but I couldn't stage manage because originally Nine was going to extend, or I was under the contract in case it extended.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really take another job in that, and their tech was right on within that extension.
Oh, okay.
So it was just a bad timing. And then when I didn't extend, I took the guardsman job, so that kind of just covered.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to. So they know I'm a stage manager because Richard is heavily involved with them.
Yeah.
So,
is that what Monty was?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Which I also did the props for.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, my props list for them went from chess pieces for falsettos to G-strings.
And
now,
for the musicians? What are you talking about?
For G-strings for the musicians. For the full Monty.
I was just kidding.
To now it shows the Burnt Part Boys, and it's all pickaxes and rope and
G-strings.
G-strings. So I really want someone to look at my web search history. Because I do research on all those props, so I'm researching G-strings.
I'm sure many prop people and theater people in general is on the NSA watch list of people.
I really wonder that.
Yeah.
I was working on a student film and I looked up chain, rope, and rubber duckies, and I was like, oh god, this is not gonna end well if anyone looks at my search history. So on Amazon I was getting stuff for guns, and then like children's toys.
If
Yeah.
Google,
Were the like suggestions.
if
and I
like
was
if Google
oh god.
if Google Suggest could do like porn, then we'd get the most weird things we'd ever.
So my current show I'm doing, I have to find a shotgun and pickaxes. So I was doing them in like a dual search on my tabs, and then you look at my Amazon, like, this is recommended for you, and I'm like, these are just all weapons. Like, someone's gonna think I'm a serial killer.
I really want a disclaimer on there saying I work in the entertainment industry. I promise I'm not doing anything weird.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny if like, this is True West that has all the toasters in it?
Yes.
It's like, can you imagine like if you did that and you like bought all the toasters on eBay and Amazon and like it'd show you nothing but toasters for like a year and a half.
Yeah. You really like toast.
Can't get enough.
So are you making your living right now from theater and stage management?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have time to act on the side or even audition?
I do, actually. I've been on a few auditions, and I'm actually hoping getting my equity card will open that up a little bit. They have EPAs, which is the Equity Principal Audition. Basically just cattle call. If you're an equity member, you get to sign up for a time. If you're non-equity, you just kind of have to sit around and wait until they're done with all the equity people.
So do you have to, because you're in equity for stage management, do you also have to get in for acting, or once you're in, you're in?
Once you're in, you're in. But if you are contracted as a stage manager on a show, you cannot act in that show in any form, and vice versa. It's very, per show, you can only do that one role, but it's equity, so it's everyone. There's no your stage manager equity, your actor equity. It's all
one equity.
Yeah, I was surprised that you were allowed to do the board for 9. I thought maybe there'd be some sort of weird rule against that.
No, and that's again 99-seat theater, so it's a lot of 99-seat theater, and a lot of it depends on the agreement with the theater. So since 99-seat theater is the waiver, and technically I'm non-union right now, so the rules don't necessarily cover me.
Well, has it been nice because like you get to because that's sort of like a nice like bringing into like you get to learn equity rules without having to like worry about fucking up anyway. Was that nice to have that sort of cushion of learning equity?
Yes and no, because I mean you still need to learn the rules right away for the shows because you're dealing with equity actors and you're the one who's supposed to be enforcing the rules.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really a nice like slow like take your time with it. It was
here
are the rules and go. But luckily it's a watered down version of the rules.
So when you so for this next show, it's going to be another like brick wall of new rules to learn.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, equity builds into the contracts an extra week for stage managers to do all their paperwork.
Oh, that's nice.
So, like, I start tomorrow, and it's my quote unquote equity prep week, and then rehearsals. The first rehearsal is next week. So I'm there a week before all of the actors.
That's why you haven't read the show yet, because you're not prepping yet.
Right.
That's the official reason, and not because you're lazy.
Exactly. I'm waiting until I'm contracted and I'm getting paid, and then I'll start. I can't
be expected to read things without being paid.
I know, right?
So what's your wow, I cannot talk. Why am I doing a podcast? So are you still vehemently like? What is your end goal? Do you want to keep stage managing, or do you want to be a director? Do you want to be an actor? Like, what is the thing
or
you
a jack
want
of
to
all
do?
trades?
Yeah, or do you like? Yeah.
I kind of like being a jack of all trades, and I'll probably still do some non-union gigs. I mean, with equity, I'm going to have to be a little more careful about doubling up and making sure that anything I do follows those rules. But if I can do props on a show, then I'm not stage managing or anything and be fine with it.
I'm sure Amanda's going to call you for painting at some point.
Yes. But my end goal is to own my own theater and film production company.
No.
Which that's an end goal of everybody, but mainly
it's not everyone's goal.
My goal is actually to destroy your theater and film production company.
Awesome.
I
need a nemesis. Every superhero needs a supervillain.
I just saw Unbreakable like 2 days ago.
Nice.
It was okay. We'll talk about that after the podcast.
On track theater here.
But my end goal and basically what I want to make my living doing is directing and writing.
Do you have any?
For theater or film or both?
Both.
Do you have any like projects you're like sort of like? Do you have anything that's done or like still like halfway through a bunch of stuff?
I have a lot of stuff that's about halfway through. Mainly because I'm ADD and I'll get halfway through something and then I'll have an idea for something else, so I'll start that. And I just never end up going back to the one thing. But I do have one project now that I'm writing that I'm hoping to have some sort of reading on in the next couple months. Mm-hmm. And I'm like I'm giving myself deadlines and trying to actually finish writing this before I write anything else.
That's cool.
So that I have
Is it
one
working?
thing. So far. I mean, I haven't written anything else. I haven't actually written too much on that since like a week ago.
I need to like hire somebody to be like my life boss. It's like, hey, you have to do this by this time.
Life
Or
coach?
exactly.
Like
I like life boss better because they can be like, if you don't get this in by this time, I'm gonna smack you in the face. Also, I don't know.
Actually,
like to impose deadlines on you.
I have a friend who's a life coach, and they're actually kind of awesome because they do that. That's what they do.
Really?
They basically like cheer you on and are saying like, so what did you do this week? And
That's a
you're
really cool
See,
job.
I did this.
Get
What did I
an
do this month?
accountability partner.
There you
My
go.
friend and I from school were encouraging each other to write, so every other day we would send each other writing prompts, and then at the end of the day text each other and say, hey, did you write today? Because you should have, and then put like a picture of an adorable cat.
See, I just feel like, wow.
It worked for the first 6 months, and then life happened.
And then life, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I took 2 months off because I walked in the graduation ceremony and had family in town, and then traveled. And so her and I were like, I'm not going to write. We might as well stop.
Yeah.
See, like I'm really bad. Like I'm really bad with coming up with my own idea, but really good at running with other ones. So whenever there's like a thing where it's like, here, like when there's like when someone assigns you something, like when I got like an art project, like there's a big thing like if you get an art project in high school, it's just like, or any art project, if someone assigns you a project, it's like, well, I can't be creative with that because like I didn't come up with it. But I think it makes you more creative, like having some sort of
assignment, some sort of
yeah.
But having an accountability partner.
That's a like I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, no, it's good.
It really works. We got so much more writing done than we would have if we were on our own.
Yeah.
We did not focus on any one project though, which was what our next goal was.
That was the problem.
Well, we were trying.
Every week was a new thing.
Basically, we were trying to get back into the flow of writing and write across a broad array. So some stuff was like heavy existential crisis stuff, and then other things were like write a poem about a cat.
15 pages of fart jokes. Go.
Yep. So now we're like, all right, let's set like goals about projects we want to finish and things that we started, but keep forgetting about.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea. It's like, hey, all those things you haven't finished? Now you're gonna finish them this week.
Pretty much.
What is your project? Can you leak anything about it, or is it like
is it film or theater?
It's theater. It's a 2X show. My general idea is that it will be a play with music.
But not a musical.
Not a musical. It'll have maybe like 3 to 5 songs in it total. So really not enough to be a musical. But the idea is to have a live band on stage, giving most of the sound effects and all that stuff using their instruments.
Is it full length play?
Full length play, yeah. 2 acts. Dealing with. I'm trying to get the nice like
articulations,
picture summary of it. The themes included are fitting in while still being yourself, trying not to conform to society while not being a full outcast, which is kind of how just life in general.
It's a play about me, really.
Yeah.
Aren't all of them?
Yeah.
I mean, they're all about me.
Yeah, of course. Exactly.
As is everything in life.
Would you want to act in it or direct it?
I would want to direct it.
I'm so rude!
You're that person.
Oh my gosh.
And it's his
I
podcast.
I know.
I didn't even think about like, cause how does it come up for a podcast? So is it sort of out there? Is it sort of out there like contemporary, like in the ether sort of thing? Or is it like a block set, a living room sort of thing?
I actually kind of hate block set shows.
So you're like all modern.
So it's not. it's not so abstract that you're just like, what the hell is this? It's got a linear story. It's characters are very clear what their characters are. But
There's
it
no
would
mysterious
be
stranger. Damn it.
but there's room for interpretation for not just my production but future productions over what the set will be, what the costumes and that type of thing. I'm really into combining types of theater and different genres and bringing other elements that aren't usually in theater into theater. So I'm hoping to incorporate some like mask work in there.
Ooh.
And like
That's cool.
stylized movement, but
not specifically
but
dance, just more.
right.
Okay.
So it's got like it's stylized, but it's not fully abstract.
So what are your favorite plays in general? Like, what kind of musicals or anything? Like, what are you into as a?
Or do you have a favorite genre and then
Yeah.
a favorite play or favorites? I always have trouble picking
that's it.
just one.
Oh, don't make me choose.
It kind of depends on the show and not necessarily the genre. I'm kind of open to genre. I generally like things that are more abstract or more
Experimental out there.
not even so much that, because there's some stuff that's like just a little bit, I'm like, you guys are trying way too hard, or you just wanted to have like people squirting blood around the stage reading this random poem. I mean, I like a story that you can follow that has abstract elements. I think my absolute favorite show is Peter and the Starcatcher.
I need to see that.
So
It's coming through.
yeah,
We need to all go see it. Like a.
I really want to see it. I missed it when
it's
I was
actually
in
at the
New York.
Omnibus and not the Pantages.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I don't know theaters around here. I'm still new.
We should all go see it though. I really
Yeah.
want to see it.
But things like that, like Once
I loved
was
Once.
that was awesome, which is also coming. Yeah,
Oh, hey.
that one will be at the Pantages.
There you go. Yeah. But are they gonna do like the bar on stage? They're probably not.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'm excited for that. I'm just excited to drink on stage.
Yeah. But those are the types of shows that I'm more drawn to, where it
Mixes different genres.
mixes different genres. It's a little more a creative use for things.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the straightforward, this is a living room, this is a chair, and this is what the chair is used for. It's like Once was the set is a bar, but you travel to a beach, you travel to an apartment, a vacuum shop, and it's bringing small pieces on. And I think there's actually a way to do straightforward shows like that.
Yeah.
But I tend to like that a little more because it focuses more on the story and kind of forces it pulls your imagination a little more. And but I mean, Peter and the Starcatcher is an extreme example of that, where nothing is actually what it's used for.
So do you find yourself liking this? Do you find yourself liking this? Wow. No, I have the thought. I just want to think how to say it. Do you like working on the same things you like watching, or like do you like watching the same things you like working on? Do you find your chase? Do you like working on musicals, but hate actually seeing them, like that sort of thing?
No, I mean I enjoy just about everything. I do like musicals a little more than straight plays, but
Working on or to see? Both.
both. I mean, watching anything can be really interesting, and I really enjoy just going to theater in general. Working on them, I do enjoy working on musicals more, just because there's generally a little bit more to do.
Yeah.
And that's not. I mean, that's not the case with everyone. Every straight play.
Definitely.
There's somewhere there are cues and there are things to do every 2 seconds. But for the most part, it's generally like a musical. from a stage management point of view, will have upwards of like 300 cues, 200 to 300 cues for a show. And that's just light cues, not including sound and any other elements, where a straight play will generally have like 60 to 100. Because it's more lights up, lights down.
Yeah.
So it's just a little... It gets old a little bit faster.
Mm. Do you have a favorite show or just thing that's happened to you in general? Any fun stories?
Or crazy stories.
Or crazy fun stories. Like teaching Danielle how to masturbate with a puppet.
That was an interesting day.
This is Avenue Q. To explain, because not this is an inside joke. Probably explain to the thousands of people that listen to us. We did a production of Avenue Q. Like you said, and our friend Danielle had to was a puppeteer for one song, or for
she
songs.
was a couple songs, but she was in the song "Loud As the How You Want." Every character and pairing is having sex in some sort. Mm-hmm. And Trekkie Monster is the lone one who's obsessed with porn. At one point, at the very end of the song, is jerking off in a window, and you just see the silhouette. So she was the only open hands at that point, so she had to be puppeting that. And it was all
hilarious.
The guys, and it was during tech, all the guys involved with the production were screaming out instructions because she wasn't getting the right angle. And it was...
She was punching her head. That's what it looked like, but not with the wrong one.
See, this is when we need visuals of this.
Yeah.
They're all miming. They're both miming it right now, just so you guys know.
Making Ariana uncomfortable as possible.
The funny part was when, everyone, you saw how everyone pretty much jerked off because they're trying to give her... Everyone had a different angle to tell her.
You gotta slap it with your hand. You gotta slap it as hard as you can.
And finally she just opened a window. She's like, guys, just shut up. I can do this.
Those are the moments in theaters where I wish a camera crew was always following.
Avenue Q just had a bunch of fun moments. That was just a ridiculous show.
Yeah. It was, and that was fun because everyone was...
That was the weirdest show because everyone was friends. All the cast and the cast and crew hung out. All of us were good friends with each other, which is really that's the first time that's ever happened to me. It was because oftentimes there'll be a cast party and the crew will go off to someone's house. We have our friend David who we always go to barbecue with. But then so went to David's barbecue for Avenue Q. Would always have all the actors there too because we were all just so cool with each other.
And that was a really nice thing. But it was also nice because they had. The cast still and the crew still went out on their own in various times, but there was always that get together, which I think you have to have.
It was because oftentimes, and this is funny because you're on both sides. There's always there's often the attitude of sort of tech versus acting, which happens a lot, which is awful because we're all on the same team, but it's just all the time. It happens more often than it should.
It's hard though because at least the tech people don't really have a reason to interact with the actors until you get into tech.
Yeah,
and at that point the actors are already. Hopefully friends in their own little clump.
Yeah, it's you're just throwing these random strangers at these people that have been together for weeks now.
Yeah.
Which is actually a part of why I like stage managing more than just coming on as a stagehand for a show, because you're with them the entire time.
Yeah. Cookies help.
What?
Cookies help.
They do.
When I've been a tech person and none of the actors knew each other, I'd usually bake cookies, and it works wonderfully.
Yeah.
And then suddenly everyone talks to you and it helps. With that bridging of things.
Cookies are the communication lubricant of the theater.
Yep.
Well said.
Very nice. Yeah, because I like to bake, so I bake cookies usually. Or muffins.
Yeah.
So, what, how about this? What's the most wrong a show's ever gone for you?
The most wrong?
Yeah.
I've never had a show go completely wrong that I've had to stop it, or... But I'll give you a couple stories. One show, the wiring in the theater was not up to date and couldn't necessarily handle the entire load, so every light went out except for the blue lights.
Thank God.
We don't know why the blue lights stayed on, because there was no... they were as patched into consecutive dimmers. Mm-hmm. But there's really no reason that those stayed on and the other ones didn't. but the actor just kind of went through and kept going.
That's awesome.
Because it wasn't something that we could fix.
Yeah.
Was that during a show or like during casting?
During a show.
Ooh.
I've had to run out of the booth a couple times. One show had a 7-minute song that the lights went up and they stayed up and then they went down. So I had 7 minutes without a cue. So that was always my time if something went wrong to run backstage, and I had to do it a couple times during that show.
Like what would happen?
We had projections that they didn't pay for the
rights to use?
No, they didn't pay for the. We were using the free version of QLab. We didn't have the.
Oh, okay. The Swanky QLab Pro with the video stuff.
So we could run it. We could build queues and run a show, but it wouldn't save the show. So we had to re-queue it every night. We were also running it off of our own personal computers, so they always had stuff going on. It wasn't just solely for that. So we ran into things like a MacBook Air does not work for QLab. It's just not powerful enough to run those projections.
Yeah.
Because that kept freezing. QLab can be the only program open. But there was one, because it was such a low budget production, they were cashing in favors all the time. So the projectors we got were not the best projectors, and they kept overheating. So I would literally run backstage to try and help.
Just blowing it for 7 minutes and then go back up.
And I mean, I had someone backstage, but I was more comfortable with the program than they were. I was teaching them the program, so it was like I'm running back and trying to reprogram it and like troubleshoot things. She would call me over the call and be like, I have tried everything and I can't figure this out. So I'm like, all right, run back, try and figure out, think it works, and then it doesn't. I've had that happen a couple times. I had a show just on 9 when I called you during intermission.
Oh,
yeah. We had another show in the theater, so I had to switch over the show on the light board, and I thought I had done it correctly, and I didn't realize it until about halfway through the first act, but half the lights were inhibited, which meant that they didn't go past 50% in power. And I called the assistant technical director was also working on the show, so whenever he didn't have cues, I had him come back, and I'm like, now you have a cue coming up, you need to go back, while trying to still run cues. And it was something that was outside of what either of us knew how to fix. So I ended up basically having the spotlights come on to kind of fill wherever the dark spots were.
It's still new to me. I only knew that it was inhibited. That was like... So I was the LD for that show, so it was like...
yeah, and then that was the first one, the first act. Intermission starts, and I called Dean. And Tim and Daniel was like, why didn't you call us? I'm like, because Dean is the expert on this board, not you. This is something that... I was like, we all went to the Dean's class. We all know the board the same way, so...
So have you done any film work aside from acting? Like any
I did.
stuff?
I actually... I've PA'd a couple times. Back in college, I mean... doing student films, you kind of do everything because you're in a class and you're all doing directing your own things and then working on each other's in various aspects. And I've gotten into producing. I was a unit production manager on a short that's just finishing up editing now, and they're going to try and put it into some festivals.
That's cool.
I'm producing another short, and I'm producing and directing a music video actually for my sister.
Nice.
That's cool.
Like for producing, what exactly are you doing for the show? Are you just being like the overall, it's a good idea, that's a bad idea, or are you actually throwing money onto it?
We're not throwing money on it. We're just trying to gather money.
Mm-hmm.
The next executive producer is more the person who throws the money at it.
Yeah.
So we're doing Kickstarter for my sister's music video. We're doing an Indiegogo.
Cool.
Which if you want to donate to,
we'll put a link in the descriptions.
So that's kind of the first part is trying to raise that money, and then it's
Keep going. Keep going. I didn't say stop.
Okay.
I was just seeing how long we were going.
During the pre-production production, it's making sure that we have everything we need. So finding locations, finding a crew, casting. Most of the part, because I work with 2 other producers, I usually end up sending out the casting notices and making sure that's all taken care of.
So you're being a stage manager. I'm just kidding.
Well, no, I mean, on a set, the
first ADs.
The first AD is generally the equivalent of a stage manager. I mean, they are definitely different skill sets, and I wouldn't suggest going straight from stage managing to first ADing and vice versa. Just give yourself a little bit of a learning curve, because they're both...
You should tell the story about the cats thing you did.
Oh, God. So, 2 years ago, I stage managed a celebrity benefit for...
I know what that is.
Yeah.
The cat. Okay, sorry.
It was for the first 2 years. It was Cats for Cats. It's a cat. I don't think it's a shelter. I think it's more of an animal hospital. It might be a shelter now. But their main purpose is to go around and spay and neuter stray cats, so that we don't get more stray cats. So it's a
noble cause.
A noble cause. The show was a sort of concert version of Cats, where they kind of wrote a script of, when I was doing it, it was parents talking to their kids, telling their kids the story of T.S. Eliot writing the Cats, or reading. T.S. Eliot was supposedly their uncle. It was the kind of the writing of the story behind his poems that he wrote for his nieces. So it was the parents reading that, and then T.S. Eliot was a character, and he read some of them, and then you had performances by celebrities singing some of the bigger numbers in Cats. I was brought on, the guy who directed it brought me on because the entire crew was they were all film people. They had not done theater before, so he wanted someone that he knew what they were doing. But the producer of it, who owned the company and put everything together, brought on her own stage manager, who was a film person. He
Sounds
very
like
quickly
a recipe for success.
he very quickly realized that I knew what I was doing, and that he was a little in over his head. So he told me, this is your show. You're calling the shots, that type of thing. But the rest of the crew refused to listen to me. I would be calling cues, calling for people, calling for things over the comm, and they wouldn't do it. So I had to start calling things over the comm to him, and then for him to call, and it got into a big mess because we were using the radios that it wasn't clear comm where I could be talking and he could be talking at the same time. Yeah. It was radios, so either I was talking or he was talking. So he wouldn't quite get everything that I was saying because he would start talking and trying to relate to it. We had almost a 30-minute intermission because I had asked one of the crew members to go into the house and let me know, I don't know, 15 minutes if everyone was getting back in, that type of thing. And they had, but my crew member had come backstage because she got bored or something like that. So it was kind of a little bit of a disaster. They asked me back as a PA for the next year, so I kindly said no. And I'm like, that's a little bit insulting, especially the way she worded it. She's like, so I brought in a real stage manager for this year. I was like, you don't realize how insulting that is because you don't know. But no. Yeah. I have friends that have done it since then too. I think this past year was a cat beret. Yeah. They changed it up because they've been doing the same thing, get a little old. But it's a great thing. I don't want to really say anything bad about it, but just
your experience
with it wasn't
as great as you had hoped.
Right.
No fault of the show. Just fault of...
And I think they've, if I were to do it now, they've learned. That was their first year. Oh, okay. So doing it the first time is always a little bit tricky. So I think they've grown. They now know what they want and they need and how to do this. So I think it's a much smoother operation.
So how long was it since you moved out here before you were solely making your living doing theater and film stuff? And what do you do on your days off when you're not working? Because I always go crazy.
It was about 3.5 years before I started, so I literally just started doing this full time. I had a day job until last February. When I left, I was there for 3 years.
Full-time day job?
Full-time day job. And it got to a point where either I was going to commit to a much more important position in that day job. It had been a small startup company, so it was always supposed to be a do this to make rent until I can
do theater.
Get it, do theater the entire time, get it on my own. But they grew so much so quickly, and it got to a point where I was being more of a manager position, and it was going to be a very quick promotion series. And then I was already spending upwards of 60 hours a week there. And it just got to a point where I had to choose between ever doing theater again or working there full time. And I'd be making a whole lot more money now. But I was I talked to the president of the company was an actor. So he knew, he was upset that I was leaving.
But totally got it.
But he totally got it. He's like, you have to do it now. I left on very good terms, so I've always had an open door to go back. If
ever I totally fail this life, I'm going back.
And that's it was really funny, that conversation with him, because he's like, I'm not saying you're gonna fail. I don't want to be that negative energy, but if you ever need it, you can always come back.
This is really cool that you're just
nice.
that you're you know what, I'm gonna do art all the time, and it's it's really, because that would have I'm sure a lot of people would be like, you know what, I'm just gonna not do theater, I'm just gonna take the more secure route, and it's really cool that you did take that risk and that leap.
Well, it's either do it now or never.
That's what you gotta do.
And I have nothing to tie me down. I'm on my own. I'm single. I have no one else to worry about. No other responsibilities, but making sure that I survive.
Yeah.
So if I go a day just eating crackers or ramen, it's okay. Yeah. So the first couple months after that were a little bit of a struggle, just because it was right when Avenue Q ended and right when my job ended. So the rest of February and for most of March, I didn't have anything. But then a couple things started to pick up. I got another stage managing job. I did a few one-off readings and stuff like that, and then it's been snowballing since then. Nice. which is a good thing. So
are you finding yourself with free time very often, or are you busy? Good. That's good.
That's a good answer. That's what we want to hear.
I mean, my foot is sunburned. I went on vacation last week and I got really sunburned. My foot is sunburned and itching.
Oh.
I have very little free time because I generally don't have weekends free. I don't have, and stage managing, going to rehearsals is going to be working 6 days a week. So I'll have Mondays off, but I'm doing props on 3 different shows. So when I'm not in rehearsals, I'm probably going to be building or shopping for props.
Nice.
I kind of have to force myself to have days off because you burn out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So every couple weeks I'll be like, all right, I'm taking a day, turning off my phone, either sleeping all day and watching movies, or I mean, the nice nature of it though is because I'm working 6-7 days a week, I'm only working 4 to 6 hours a day. And then the rest of the time is kind of
Netflix.
Not necessarily free time, but I can sit there on my computer with Netflix, doing rehearsal reports, watching TV, researching props with the TV on, painting a prop,
living
with
the
TV
life.
on. Yeah. So it's not. I'm always busy, but I'm not necessarily overworked.
Cool. So we're hitting the end of our hour here. No, well, not that we're scheduled to be an hour, but what is it like? We had it last week. Like, so what would be like? You think your mission statement for what it is you wanted to make? Like you said, you wanted to start a theater and production company, but like what is your ethereal
ultimate goal? Like, if
yeah,
the world loved you, this is the thing I want to be doing.
To, like,
or
to make art.
That was my answer. I was like, I want to make art for a living in all the fields.
I want to just kind of, when I say produce, I don't mean as a producer. I mean just in creating it out there. Create theater and film that kind of does something to help make the world a better place.
No.
As cheesy as it sounds, but that's like, I mean...
What's your superhero obsessed side speaking?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's... I feel like everything should put something into the world. Mm-hmm. And whether your shows have or movies have, what kind of message they have, even if it's like Jurassic Park, where it's literally there's no. I mean, there actually
the message is don't make monsters.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole genetics thing there, so that's not the best things. But like more like Avengers, where it's popcorn flicks, which are just a nice entertainment to get away from. That I mean, I think is just as good as like Crash, which has this intense message. I mean, I think both movies are just as important because you need to have the escape and you need to have the message.
Yeah.
They don't always mix. So it's not all about making really in-depth, thought-provoking pieces, but sometimes just the pieces to give yourself an escape from the day, from the creditors calling you saying... You're 3 months behind.
And that was a little bit too look into Nick's life there.
But no, I guess my mission statement would be to create and work on theater and film that does something that leaves behind something good.
No, that's cool. I don't want to put that was awesome. That was sarcastic. That's pretty cool.
It was just such a sincere aw.
Aw, Nick, doing good for the world. You. He's crying. That's what that is.
Yep, wiping a tear.
Cool. So that was the second episode of Banging on the Backstage Door. Thank you, Nick, for coming on.
Thank you so much for coming.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
So tune in next week, and we'll have hopefully someone else.
We're figuring it out.
Yay. Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
I'm gonna press this button.